Welcome to one another interesting ICT class. Today's class we will be seeing about our chapter 5, which is programming with C. Programming with C. So children, before going into the chapter, I would like to talk to you about C language. In that, are you all surprised on hearing the word C language? Yes, most of you would be surprised, right? What is the use of a language? First, let's understand that. And then let's understand what is programming with C language. As all of us know, a language is used to communicate with one another. And here, when I'm studying these computers, I had to communicate with the computer to make it do a work for me. So, how do I communicate with the computer? I need to use a language which the computer can understand. And I'm very sure all of you know what are the basic or what are the types of computer languages. So first, we have seen about the low-level languages, which is your binary language. Every instructions given to the computer is written in the form of zeros and ones. Then came into picture your high-level languages. In the high-level languages, we can write the instructions in our common English language. So now let's understand what is programming with C. Program is nothing but set of instructions that is given to a computer. Program is a set of instructions that is given to a computer. So when I am just writing these instructions, I need to write in a language that the computer can understand, and also as a humans, it is easy for us to give the instructions to the computer. And that is the reason why the high-level languages were introduced. But children, still if you see, our computers are designed in such a way that it can understand only your binary language. So how can it understand this high-level language? So this high-level language is converted into your binary language or the low-level language using a translator. The translator can again be of two types. One is your interpreter and another one is your compiler. What is the difference between an interpreter and the compiler? All of us know. But still, to refresh, interpreter converts line by line. The high-level program is converted into the binary language line by line. Whereas, when we use a compiler, the entire block of code is converted into a binary language in one single shot. So now, again, coming to the chapter name, programming. Hope you're all aware of what is the word programming. Programming is nothing but writing the instructions with C. So C is one of the high-level language that we are going to learn in this particular chapter. And as I was telling, C language will make use of a compiler to convert the high-level language into the low-level language. So children, now let's understand about the history of C language. That is, who founded C language, when and where was it found, and what is the brief history behind it. So as you all able to see it on my screen, C language was designed by Dennis Ritchie in between 1969 and 1973 at AT&T Bell Labs in USA. But before that, we need to understand what were all the other high-level languages that was available before the C language. In the early 60s, there were only few languages such as COBOL. COBOL stands for Common Business Oriented Language, which is used for the commercial and the business purpose only. And then we had the Fortran, Formula Translator, which is used for the scientific and engineering purposes only. So if you see, these two languages were very specific to one or the other usage only. If you take COBOL, COBOL was used for commercial and business purpose, whereas Fortran was used for the scientific and the engineering purpose. But children, they always wanted a language which can be used for a general purpose. That is, which can be used to design a different type of applications. So because of that, there was a research that was started, and there was a committee which was of course set up. They have designed the Algol 60, which was considered to be a failure. Later, they designed the combined programming language, which was also again a failure due to some reasons. Then Martin Richards designed the BCPL, Basic Combined Programming Language. And due to some reason, even this was considered to be a failure. And after that, if you see, Ken Thompson designed your B language by imparting or by integrating few of the features which he had found with the BCPL. But due to some reasons, this B language was also not popular. Later in the year 1972, Dennis Ritchie adopted the features of BCPL, B language, and some features of his own to design the C language. So C language was finally designed at AT&T Bell Labs. Now, in this picture, you will be able to see Dennis Ritchie. And in the next picture, it is your AT&T Labs, in which the C language was designed. So C language is now one of the most popular language, I should say one of the most popular high-level language, which is even used to design an operating system. So that is very interesting, right? The Unix and the Linux operating systems are designed entirely by using the C language only. Now, let's understand about the characteristics of C language. What makes it unique or what makes it different from the other high-level programming languages? So children, C language is a highly structured programming language. And what does that highly structured programming language means? C language follows a particular structure, and whenever we need to just write a particular program, we need to follow the structure very strictly. Otherwise, my compiler will not be able to understand the structure of the program, and there can be an error. And also, C language is considered to be one of the most fast and efficient high-level languages. Because, as I told you, the compiler behind C language is considered to be one of the fast translator, and it will be able to give you the results in just a second. C is also considered to be a function-oriented programming language. What is this function-oriented programming language? We will be able to understand in the upcoming classes. And also, C is considered to be a vast language and is universally accepted. As I told you, even for designing a operating system, they were using the C language. And if you see, C language has 32 built-in keywords. What is this keyword is? There are few predefined words which can be identified by the compiler by its own. So these words can be called as your keywords. And how many keywords does C language has? It has 32 built-in keywords. And also if you see, C has number of set of operators. What is the use of an operator? Is like whenever I have two operands and when some operation has to be done, I have to include the operator. For example, I have two numbers and the numbers I need to find the sum. So what operator do I need there? I need to have a addition operator. And then C also adopts different types of data types. I'll be explaining you about what is a data type in detail, but as of now, understand that data type is nothing but the type of value that is stored and that can be operated by using your operators. Then C language can convert bits and bytes of data for its easy manipulation. And also, dynamic memory allocation is possible in C language through pointers. C language can also be used to design different application softwares like database and spreadsheets. So these are all found to be some of the characteristics of your C language. And as I told you, Unix operating system is designed through your C language. Now, let's understand about the tokens. The word is very surprising, right? Yes. What is this token? The individual element of a program in a C language are called as tokens. In a C program, there are a number of individual units or elements which occurs, and these elements can be called as your C tokens. So what are all the elements that can be used in a program? We'll have 6 types of tokens, and those 6 types are your identifiers, keywords, constants, operators, special characters, and strings. Now let's see in detail one by one. First comes your identifiers. As the name implies, identifiers means or identifiers can be defined as the name of the variable which holds a value and stores the value in the memory. So, if I had to store a value, say 20, I had to have a variable. And when I say a variable, a name has to be given to the variable. So, that name to the variable is called as your identifier. So, this identifier, whenever I'm using in a C program, I need to follow few rules for declaring the identifiers. The rules are the identifier should consist of an alphabet from A to Z and capital A to capital Z. So identifier names are not case sensitive. It can include the alphabets from A to Z and capital A to capital Z. And also identifiers may contain the numerical values from 0 to 9. It may also contain an underscore value. But there is only one rule which we should not do while declaring the identifiers. It is the starting character of an identifier must always be an alphabet, and it should not start with any numerical value or the underscore value. Remember children, whenever we are just declaring the identifier, the starting character of an identifier must always be an alphabet only. Now, moving on to our next token, which is your keywords. As I told you, the keywords are the words whose meaning has already been defined by the compiler. Keywords are the predefined words in a compiler. So these words are easily identified by the compiler itself. And each keyword is meant to perform a specific function in a C program. Keywords are case sensitive. I repeat, keywords are case sensitive and it must always be written in the lower case only. These are all the few keywords: auto, double, int, struct, const, float, short, and the list goes on. And remember children, how many keywords does a C language has? It has 32 inbuilt keywords. Now moving on to the next token, which is your constants. A constant is a fixed value that cannot be altered during the execution of a program. A constant can be classified into 2 categories, namely primary constants and secondary constants. Again, I repeat children, a constant is a fixed value that cannot be altered during the execution of a program. For example, if I'm writing a program to compute the area of the circle, then the pi value is equal to 3.14. Does that value change during the execution of a program? No, not at all. It is going to remain the constant throughout the program. So that is the use of your constants. So your constants can be classified into 2 categories, namely primary constants and secondary constants. Primary constants can be your numeric, character, or logical constants, whereas the secondary constants can be arrays, structures, union, and pointer. Moving on, the next C token, which is your operators. Operator is the symbol that gives instructions to perform different types of mathematical and logical operations on the operands. And we can define the operators as the tools which can alter the values of the data and the variables. See children, these are the different types of operators that is supported by C language. We have the arithmetic operator for performing the arithmetic operations, and as all of you know, the common arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and are you all puzzled on seeing that modulo symbol? Modulo, or the percentage symbol which you see, is called as a modular operator, which is used to find the remainder. I repeat, it is used to find the remainder. For example, 10 divided by 3 will give you a quotient of 3, whereas 10 modulo 3 will give you a remainder of 1. Next comes your relational operator, which is used to compare the two operands. It can be like either to find out greater than, less than, or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And here double equal to symbol is used to indicate that both the values of A and B are equal. And the exclamatory mark followed by the equal to symbol indicates a not equal to. Then we have the logical operators. The logical operators are used to perform some logical operations. Whenever I have two conditions in hand, and when I had to come for a decision, then I go for this logical operators. And is the first operator that you see, and what does it do is, whenever both the conditions are true only, it's going to give you an output of true. Otherwise, your output is going to be false. When I say output, here it means the decision is going to be false. And the second operator which you see is your OR operator, which will be giving the decision as true whenever any one of the input is going to be true. And finally, you have the NOT operator, which will give you the complementary operation. That is, whenever you give an input of true, it is going to give a decision of false, and whenever you give a false, it is going to give you a decision as true. Then we have the increment and the decrement operator, plus plus and minus minus. So when for example they have given it as a plus plus indicates that a is going to be added by a value 1. That is, a plus plus will be equal to a plus 1. And then we have the assignment operator, which is equal to. So equal to operation is used to assign a value. For example, a equal to a plus b. That is, the value of a is going to be the sum of the variables a and b. It even can be indicated as a plus equal to b. Then we have the bitwise operator, which is used to do the operations in a bitwise. And then we have the comma operator, and finally we have the conditional operator. Again, if you see conditional operator, I'll be able to specify the true condition and the false condition. For example, if I say a greater than b, and within the question mark, if I define the value, it means if a is greater than b and the condition is true, then the value next to the question mark will be printed, and the value next to the colon will be printed whenever I assign a value of false. That is, whenever my condition becomes false. And then the next token will be your special characters. Special characters are nothing but the characters which is included or which can be included in your program. All the characters other than A to Z, capital A to Z, and 0 to 9 are known as special characters. Examples can be your brackets, your brackets, when I say, it can be your curly braces, square braces, and the rectangular braces, and also the semicolons, and then the apostrophes also can be included. So here is your special characters. Next comes your string. A string is a group of characters and the string should be enclosed in a double quotation marks. For example, char string is equal to Sri Chaitanya. And when I say a variable is a user defined word which has some storage area depending on the data type, and its value will be changed during the program execution. I repeat, a variable is a user defined word which has some storage area depending on the data type, and its value will be changed during the program execution. The declaration of a variable is data type followed by variable names. These variable names are otherwise called as your identifiers. For example, int A, int B. We will be learning about the data types in the next slide. So now let's see what are all the rules for declaring a variable. It is a combination of letter and digits. The length of a variable is 31 characters. However, the length is normally more than 8 characters. The variable should not be a reserved word. This reserved word can also be called as a keyword. The variable name should not be a keyword. Special symbols are not allowed except underscore. The first character in the variable must be an alphabet. Commas or blank spaces are not allowed within a variable. So these are all few rules which are used when declaring a variable. Now let's see about the data type. When we understand the variable, we said like variable is used to store a value and it is going to allocate the memory space. So when the data type, and we saw like when I'm declaring a variable, I'm going to use the data type and then the variable name. So what is this data type? So data type defines a set of values and the operations that can be performed on them. Storage representations and the machine instructions to handle the constants differ from machine to machine. In general, if you see, the variety of data types that are available allows the programmer to select the type appropriate to the need of the application as well as the machine. For example, I wanted to find the sum of two numbers. So when I had to find the sum of two numbers, then what type of variable should I choose, and what type of what data type should I choose? So that becomes a question here. I'm going to add two integer numbers, so my data type should be of integer, because the values which I'm going to assume is of integer data type, and I can declare it as int a is equal to 10 and int b is equal to 20. And when I say this integer, what are all the possible operations that is what are all the possible operations? It can be obviously your arithmetic operations. So this is the use of your data type. Hope you understood. And if you see in the same way, when I had to store or when I had to get a name from the user, or I had to get a set of characters from the user, then I had to go for the character data type. Then we also have the float data type, which is going to accept both my decimal values and the integer part. That is, example, when I just declare int a, the a can accept a value of 10. But when I declare a variable float a, then the a can accept a value like 10.1, 10.2 or 10.55 in that way. So basically, three data types are supported by C language. They are integer, float and character. Within the integer, we also have the other data types like signed and unsigned int, And also within float, the float can be declared as float, double or long double. And if it is a character, then the character can be of char, signed character and the unsigned character. And whenever I had to get an input from the user, one of the most important thing is your format specifier. The format specifier will indicate the compiler what type of data is going to be accepted from the input, or we are going to return it back to the output. So if you see, the format specifiers of character or signed character is %C, whereas for an integer it is %D, and for a float it is %F. So children, hope you understood, and the remaining part of it will be continued in your next class. Thank you.